the next type of average that we have here is what we call the mode. And the mode is simply just the data value that occurs the most frequently in our data set. So it's the one that is in the data set the most. One thing to note with the mode is we can have multiple modes. If there is more than one number in our data set that occurs multiple times, and that is more than anything else in the data set, we could have multiple modes. We can also have no modes. If every number in the data set occurs the exact same amount of times, then that data set does not have a mode. So now, for our example for finding the mode, we are once again going back to the basketball scores that Angela had in their first 8 games of the season. And we want to find the number that occurs the most frequently. One thing that I like to do with finding the mode is to just go back to the ranked list that we use to find the median. This is because that already has the numbers ordered, and we can very easily see any numbers that have repeats. So looking at that ranked list up above, we can see that all of the numbers appear once in the data set except 17. 17 is in the data set 3 times, which means that our mode for this data set is 17, because 17 is occurring the most. And then lastly here, I want to go over a little bit about the differences between these 3 averages that we have. Our mean, median, and mode, they're all a type of finding the center of our data set, but they're not equal to each other. They don't tell us the same thing necessarily. And a lot of times, they're not the same number. One thing to note about the mean is that it is very sensitive to any change in our data set. If you change any number in the data set by a little bit or a lot, any sort of fluctuation of any data value, the mean is going to change. It is going to shift some direction, up or down. It could change a lot, it could change a little. It's very sensitive. However, the mean, median, and mode do not have that sensitivity as much. You can change a handful of numbers from the data set, and it won't affect the median at all, because the median is just looking at those 2 values in the middle, or 1 value in the middle. So as long as those aren't really changing at all, the median won't be affected by any small changes or any outliers. Similarly, the mode does not get affected by outliers at all, because that's not taken into consideration when looking at the numbers that occur the most frequently. So if we have outliers in a data set, the mean might not be the best representation, and maybe the mode or median would be a better indicator of the average value of our data set.